So when Khaled moved to a new country for safety and opportunity, he thought the hardest part would be learning a new language or finding a job. But what lingered was an ache he couldn't name. Missing the smells of his grandmother's cooking, the call to prayer at dusk, the comfort of knowing how things worked. He hadn't just left a place, he had lost a part of himself. Welcome to this mini-series on understanding the language of grief, loss and trauma. My name is Nathalie Himmelrich. I'm a somatic practitioner, psychological therapist, educator and author, specialising in grief and trauma, and the host of the How to Deal with Grief and Trauma podcast. Grief and trauma are deeply human experiences, yet many of us struggle to describe what we are going through or to understand what others are facing. The vocabulary of loss is vast, varied, and sometimes overwhelming. In this short podcast episode series, we'll explore the different types of grief, loss, and trauma that people encounter throughout life. Each mini-episode serves both as an educational tool and a compassionate companion for anyone trying to make sense of their own experience with grief, loss, and trauma, or someone who is supporting someone else who is. These terms are more than labels. They are doorways into greater understanding, healing, and connection. Whether you are a bereaved parent, a caregiver, a therapist, or someone walking alongside a grieving friend or someone who has experienced trauma, these bite-sized episodes aim to give you language, insight, and tools. Each one includes a definition, some key considerations, an explanation of why it matters, relevant podcast episodes, and frequently asked questions that I have been asked by my clients and you, the listener of the podcast. And my answers are all grounded in both professional and lived experience. So let's begin. Migration-related grief refers to the emotional distress and mourning that arises from leaving one's home country, culture, language, or community. It includes the loss of familiarity, belonging, identity, and often connection to loved ones left behind. This grief can be long-lasting and layered. It may include sadness, longing, guilt, identity confusion, and culture shock. Migration-related grief is not only about physical relocation, it's about the emotional rupture of leaving behind a life, history, and a sense of place. Because this grief is often hidden under the surface of resilience or gratitude, it can go unspoken and unsupported. It is also often related to trauma due to having to leave a country without wanting to. So recognizing this grief allows migrants and their families to honor their emotional experience and build a bridge of healing and integration. This kind of grief is normal to feel even if one chooses to migrate. So reflecting back on my life, I notice now that when I moved overseas to Southeast Asia and then Australia, I experienced this kind of grief, missing culturally significant experiences and expressions, such as the church bell ringings. However, I did not know at the time. So some of the questions. So what makes this grief unique? This kind of grief blends tangible loss like home and family with intangible ones like identity, belonging, cultural. And this affects identity. So a person experiences that kind of grief may feel fragmented, caught between cultures, or like they don't belong fully anywhere. What are signs of migration-related grief? Homesickness, emotional numbness, cultural confusion, or guilt for leaving behind others. So often the sentence is, I just feel homesick, but there is much more behind. So is this the same as a culture shock? it's related, but migration grief includes deeper emotional and existential dimensions. What helps with healing? Cultural recognition, community support, therapy, storytelling, and creating rituals for loss and continuity. This might also be the reason that migrants often come together in the country that they've had to flee to. Can future generations feel this grief? As mentioned in the last episode, yes, children of migrants may carry emotional traces of their parents' or even grandparents' dislocation. And what can you say to someone going through this? It is okay to miss what you've left behind. You don't have to choose between your past and your future. In the next episode, I'll be speaking about disrupted attachment grief. So stay tuned. I hope this episode has helped you feel more grounded in the language of loss, grief, or trauma, and maybe even offered you some clarity, validation, or insight into your own experience or the experience of someone you care about. Grief and trauma are deeply personal, yet universal. When we can name what we're feeling, we take one powerful step closer to healing and the integration of our experience back into our lives. If this series resonates with you, I invite you to keep exploring. You'll find more resources, courses, and ways to work with me at nathaliehimmelrich.com. And of course, you're always welcome to revisit any of the episodes whenever you need a gentle reminder that you're not alone. Until next time, take good care of your heart.